We're rebuilding America. We're going to invest in America and build a better America than we found. And for the better part of the 20th century, we used to lead the world by a significant margin because we invested in ourselves.
Exciting news. More and more states are in the process of approving inflation relief checks. The House and the Senate lawmakers are continuing to work together to finally reach a deal on a new stimulus payment to be sent to the people. Even people in some states have agreed to more strict requirements in order to qualify for this relief. And now, over 2 years ago, as more businesses shuttered and unemployment rates soared, while the federal government realized that the crisis just had to send the money back into the people. What this means, folks, is that driven by a surge in oil and gas production, New Mexico is expected to rake in as much as $3.6 billion in new money for the state's upcoming budget year. That major increase might bring another round of tax rebate or even economic stimulus to the people of New Mexico. The governor has also said to be urging lawmakers to use chunks of the one-time payment and oil revenue to go to the people to go to those in need. A spokeswoman of the governor's office told reporters that the governor is looking for rebates in the ballpark of $750 to $1,500 per jointly filing couple. Yes, that means you'll be getting a stimulus of around $1,000 to the people. What this means, folks, is that this type of package could be ultimately $1 billion. $1 billion of stimulus cash, and the fine details would ultimately need to be hammered out and passed by the state, which is slated to reconvene for a 60-day session in the middle of January. And so now the governor has also signed a new relief program for the state of Minnesota. Also signed his bill in 2023. The bill is set to simplify tax filing, save money for hundreds of thousands, and also include people with student loans and companies that receive the crisis aid. It brings Minnesota's tax code into conformity with federal tax rules. It is also one of the several that legislative leaders have fast-tracked since convening last week, with Democrats now controlling the chambers of Congress. So now the tax conformity bill has sailed through the Senate, sailed through the House with unanimous support. It amounts to over a $100 million tax cut. It's retroactive, so individuals and businesses who qualify can still file amended returns for previous years, just to claim any refund. Joe Biden is now cheering on the news that a key indicator of key inflation for the first time fell in more than pretty much 2 years. Inflation falling, what that means is stimulus cash. He said this: it's clearer than ever that his policies are working, and that this morning we have good news. While consumer prices are still high than they were a year ago, the pace at which they are slowing is beginning to improve. First of all, it's down 9.1% from the summer. Inflation is now at its lowest level since October, and the overall consumer price index is 0.1 from the prior month, making the largest month-over-month decrease since April, when much of the... Now, the bill has also enhanced the federal Medicaid matching funds, and during this unwinding, millions of people are expected to lose coverage, and that could reverse recent gains in coverage too. While the number of Medicaid enrollees may be disenrolled during the unwinding period is highly uncertain, experts estimate between 7.8 and 24 million people could lose Medicaid coverage this year alone. Folks, the lawmakers are taking action. Billions of federal aid are being used towards new relief payments, and a one-time direct check worth $100,000 will be deposited. This is necessary action as millions of Americans continue to struggle due to the crisis. And while the federal government is dealing with a debt crisis, many local states have a cash surplus and rainy day funds. As a result, 27 states are considering cutting taxes or eliminating them altogether. According to the National Association of State Budget Officers, there has been 2 short years of widespread budget surpluses amid recent state policy. The institution of taxation and economic policy suggests that many states have now tax cut fever and are looking at offering property tax cuts, rebate checks, and reducing the amount of income taxes paid. In the case of Mississippi and Arkansas, cutting state income tax altogether is their plan. But CBS has noted that there are a number of reasons that state lawmakers have provided for the move. It includes making their states more economically competitive, boosting their growth, and boosting taxpayers who are struggling with inflation. For instance, the Georgia governor signed a bill that would give people in Georgia state income tax refunds. That means you can get up to $500 in your bank account for just owning a home. Single taxpayers and filers married jointly who will get $500 and $250 too as well. And head of household filers will get $375, and married people who file joint returns will get an additional $500 based on individual or couple's tax liability.
That we felt confident our resources could last until the beginning of June.
Okay. All right, I'm going to move on. I did reclaiming my time. I did read the statements. You had said June 1st or the following weeks, at which then tightened up, and that's fine. That's not what we're here today about.
It was consistent with that side.
Reclaiming my
forecast.
time on this, because I do want to hit on the International Development Finance Corporation as well, but I am also going to say repeat something to you that I've repeated to every other person from.
We have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus checks, Social Security benefits, SSI, and SSDI. A ton of news about the fourth stimulus payments are coming in. I have a lot of information that I'm going to share with you guys today in this video, so continue watching. The several lawmakers, everybody in Congress, have discussed new inflation. Folks, there is a new fourth stimulus check, and thousands of Americans are set to receive checks worth as much as $2,500 very soon. Many of you are wondering whether your state will send you one. Well, I'll be sharing all this important information for the fourth stimulus payment in today's video. So continue watching. We got a ton of news about this. Since the IRS distributed the final batch of these economic impact payments to eligible individuals, the concept of a fourth federal stimulus payment has been under consideration. And there are several statewide programs that are in full swing or just getting started. The Alaska Permanent Fund dividend pays Alaska residents a portion of state minerals revenue in the form of an annual dividend to benefit current and future generations. Although the deadline is March 31st of the year for which you're applying, there are some exceptions. According to officials, applicants who filed an application online and have been determined eligible will receive a September 22 stimulus payment. That's until the end of October at least. In the Washington Working Families Tax Credit aims to offer financial support to residents for the state range from $50 to $100. Now, these payments will be allocated to individuals and families taking into account specific criteria, like the income. It's happening. The millions of people may see a drastic increase and decrease in the monthly benefit checks. Direct deposit of checks are set to go out to Social Security recipients, may be adjusted from the federal government. And there's some shocking news. A new Congressional Budget Office reports projects that an even more dire outlook for Social Security's future than was previously calculated. Without action to fix the situation, huge benefit cuts for recipients will begin in 2033. And preventing those cuts will require massive tax increases for working Americans beginning immediately. In contrast to the Social Security's trustees' own projections, the Congressional Budget Office estimates that Social Security's combined retirement and disability insurance programs will run out of money again just 2 years earlier. And now that tax increases necessary to fund scheduled benefits are higher than the Social Security's trustees projected. The trustees also assumed only 4.5%